In the end of the world, Jason abandoned me and my daughter and only took his first love Chloe to the safe zone. I chopped the zombies with a knife, cut a bloody path, and took my daughter to hide in the basement of an abandoned supermarket. Later, the safe zone fell, and my daughter pushed me in front of the zombies to save Jason and Chloe. Before I died, I heard my daughter say, "Chloe is my biological mother. If you weren't vicious and insisted on occupying Dad, our family of 3 would live happily together." When I opened my eyes again, I returned to the time before the water pollution. "Wife," Jason bent down and kissed my face, "I'm going to work. Wait for me to come back." His face was deceptive, warm and harmless, and I loved him too much and gave him too much trust. This made him fearlessly ignore our marriage certificate and send warmth to Chloe for many years. Because he was a top talent, before the disaster in the previous life, he not only got a place to go to the safe zone but also a family quota. He didn't even consider me and Stella, and directly chose Chloe. If the safe zone had not been occupied, he and Chloe would have married and had children in their new home. I saw through Jason. His touch made me physically sick, but if I had to do it again, I would have to plan ahead without making a sound if I wanted to survive longer than the adulterers in the apocalypse. So, I recalled my attitude towards Jason in the past and said gently, "Come back soon." Jason did not suspect anything and turned to leave. After closing the door, I immediately put away my smile, sat on the sofa, and took out my phone to check the time. According to the disaster process in the previous life, in 10 days, Jiangqing in the south will have a water pollution problem. It only took 1 month from national support to the total occupation. In other words, in 40 days, Jason will abandon me and Stella and take his family member, Chloe, to the safe zone. Due to management negligence, the safe zone only lasted 2 months. At that time, although I was hungry and skinny, and my body was filled with a mixture of blood and sweat, I was alive. Stella had never been hungry and had never seen blood. I tried my best to protect her, but she chose Jason and her suspected biological mother Chloe. I gave birth to my daughter after 10 months of pregnancy. How could I really make a mistake? Could it be that Jason swapped my child with Chloe's right after I gave birth? In any case, I will not care about Stella anymore. My ability is limited. I can't save Jiangqing, which already has pollution problems but has not yet erupted, and I can't save the world full of holes. I can only save myself first. This time, I must send Jason and Chloe away happily. I will use my own money to stock up on supplies first. When I spend almost all of it, I will use the salary card Jason gave me. In his previous life, before he went to the safe zone, he had many opportunities to ask me for the salary card. But he didn't. This means that the salary he transferred to me every month is only a small part of his real salary. Unknowingly, a day passed. It happened to be Friday today, and I went to the high school to pick up Stella and take her home. "Mom." Seeing me, Stella ran to me and hugged me tightly. It seemed that she really loved me. She is worthy of being Jason's daughter and a natural actor. I took the opportunity to pull out 2 of her hairs and planned to do 2 paternity tests with her. If she is not my biological daughter, I will find my child. If she is, I will just give birth to a piece of barbecued pork. "Mom," Stella said coquettishly, "I want to eat Haidileo, can you take me there?" "Okay." I agreed verbally, but actually drove to Jason's company. Stella was focused on playing games, and she realized that the destination was wrong when she was almost there. "Mom, don't you know the way to Haidileo?" I replied, "I have something to do later. I'll ask your dad to take you there." "Okay." She lowered her head and played the game again. While I was parking in the underground garage, she informed Jason on WeChat. I have good eyesight and can see the content of her WeChat clearly. "Dad, Scarlett took me to find you." It turned out that the balance in her heart had long been inclined towards Jason. Because Jason was busy with work, I took care of her full-time for 5 years since she was born. Later, when I returned to work, I still paid attention to her academic performance and her physical health. I was open-hearted to her, and in my previous life, she backstabbed me fatally. Jason, on the other hand, occasionally took her out to play and bought her gifts during holidays and became her good father. I covered my aching chest. Now I can only feel better if I confirm that she is not my biological daughter. "Mom, what's wrong with you?" Stella, who just called me by my full name, switched to being a well-behaved and filial daughter. I sneered in my heart, and my face was normal. "It's okay, I'll take you to find your dad." Walking to the guard room, I said to Stella, "You wait outside, I'll go register the information." "Okay, Mom." She answered quickly, probably wanting to give Jason more information. I pretended not to know. When signing, I flipped through the registration book openly and quickly browsed the registration records of the past 3 days, and there was no name, Chloe. Jason's company has strict discipline, and the guards naturally follow the rules in a strict manner. When we were dating, Jason personally brought me into the company, and I also had to fill in my name and mobile phone number. Didn't Chloe look for Jason? Then why did Stella take the risk of sending that WeChat message to Jason? Why don't you write? The security guard stared at me. Is there any problem? I quickly answered, no. My hand was numb just now. Sorry, Brother Oliver, I'm sorry to bother you. After registering, I went to find Jason with doubts. As soon as I saw Jason's office, Stella ran. Through the glass wall, I saw her jump into Jason's arms, smiling cutely, her lips opening and closing, and she must have called, Dad. I suppressed the sudden surge of hatred and walked in without changing my face. Stella had jumped down and sat on the sofa, picking up the tablet that Jason had placed on the sofa to play games. Jason has mild misophobia and obsessive-compulsive disorder, so he can't just put things away casually. Maybe Chloe was playing on the sofa all day, and she knew I was coming, so she dragged it until the last second to hide in some dark corner, leaving Jason no time to put away the tablet. This guess is a bit absurd, but I think it is the truth. Why are you here? Jason asked. I raised my eyes and forced a smile. Stella wants to eat Hadileo, you take her there. He put his arm around my shoulders, let's go together. Because of his intimate actions, I smelled a trace of cool perfume on him. As far as I know, it was Chloe's. In the previous life, during the apocalyptic escape era, she always carried this perfume with her. I sneered in my heart, Chloe is worthy of being Jason's first love and Cinnabar mole, and let him, a married man, give her special treatment. But I acted normally. I feel a little uncomfortable and want to go to the hospital. Jason worried, what's wrong with you? Where do you feel uncomfortable? How can a doctor go alone? I'll accompany you, huh? It was such a hypocritical face that deceived me into thinking that I was marrying for love. But in Jason's heart, he and Chloe were in a vigorous love, and his marriage to me was just a compromise. Not me, I'm going to see a friend. I glanced at Stella who was playing games with her head down and then looked at him again. You don't want to disappoint Stella, right? Okay then. Jason reluctantly agreed. I guessed from Stella's uncontrollable excitement, I was smart enough, and the three of them would gather at Hadileo. I pretended not to know and went to the hospital and a special identification agency to do a paternity test. After that, I disguised myself and lurked in the only Hadileo in the city. My colleague Oliver helped me find the way in advance, so I sat down smoothly and low-key at the table next to Jason, just with my back to them. As soon as I sat down, Oliver placed a Tyrannosaurus Rex doll that was almost taller than a person outside my seat, and he sat opposite me with a tall and strong figure. The overall shielding effect was okay. I changed my makeup and hair. Even if the three of them passed by with seasoning, it would be difficult to recognize me. Thank you. I pinched the furry Tyrannosaurus Rex and whispered to Oliver, you are so thoughtful. I had just married Jason and I still had many friends to keep in touch with. After Stella was born, Stella became the center of my life, and I gradually lost contact with my friends. Although I feel sorry for them now, if I go to them rashly, we will probably be speechless. Tonight, the situation is urgent, so I have to ask Oliver, who usually works with me, to help. Oliver, I see injustice and help others. I am happy, thank you. You can order whatever you want, I will treat you. He didn't hesitate and ordered. I leaned back to back, holding my breath and filtering out the conversation of the family of three in the chaos. Mom, thank you for giving me the hot tripe. That woman never allows me to eat it. It's Stella. I don't allow her to eat it because she is in poor health and eating too much of it will easily lead to hospitalization. I seem to understand why I take care of her with all my heart, but she likes Jason and Chloe. Your mother should have her considerations. Chloe changed the subject, but you are still growing up, and you are in the third year of high school, and you are under great pressure from studying. She shouldn't stop you from relaxing once in a while. That's right. Mom, she's not here, don't say she is my mom. She is a fake who has taken over the magpie's nest, I don't recognize her. Stella said excitedly. Chloe was calm, Stella, this is not good. Stella was anxious, Dad, you say. Chloe, Stella is right. You have been wronged for so many years. Hearing this, I couldn't help but clench my fist. They took advantage of my weakness after giving birth and secretly replaced my daughter. How dare they talk about being wronged? I am not wronged, Chloe said teasingly, as long as you are here, I am not wronged at all. Okay, let's not talk about sad things. Can our family of three get together once? Under Chloe's guidance, Stella began to talk about school trivia. I pressed the button to end the recording and put the recorder back into my bag. My eyes were filled with mist, and I stared at Oliver's hot beef rolls. Listening to their conversation, I was almost certain that Stella was Chloe's biological daughter. So, what about my daughter? My mood affected my appetite, and I put down my chopsticks after eating a few bites. Oliver was young and continued to eat. Dad, please treat me and Mom to a movie. Stella probably finished eating and begged Jason obediently. Of course. The table of people walked away, and the string in my heart relaxed. Oliver asked, do you still need my help? There is something I haven't confirmed yet. I stared at his young face and couldn't help asking, if I want to investigate what happened 18 years ago, is it the first choice to call the police? Or find a private detective? Oliver said straightforwardly, I have a way, you just pay. Thank you. Before leaving, I called Oliver. He stood there. Scarlett, is there anything else? I said, the end of the world is coming soon. If you believe me, prepare in advance, if you don't believe me, you can treat it as nonsense. I regretted it as soon as I said it. Whether in the prosperous times or the end of the world, the only people who can predict the future are born with original sin. What if Oliver stabs me in the back? I will either become a tool to control people's hearts, or become a person who is doomed to die by deceiving people with lies. I only blamed that moment. I wanted to thank Oliver too much. Scarlett, I believe you. Oliver said seriously, but Scarlett, you'd better only tell your close people about this matter. Fortunately, Oliver is kind to me. I nodded, don't worry, I know what's going on. When I was 18, my parents died in an earthquake while on a business trip, leaving me a house and a deposit. I just became an adult and did not need a guardian. I inherited all my parents' inheritance. In the eyes of my relatives, I was an orphan who had achieved financial independence in advance. They tried every means to borrow money from me. My uncle, who loved me since childhood, even offered to keep my money for me. I have seen the warmth and coldness of human nature, and I have also seen how shameless the so-called relatives can be for money. When the college entrance examination results came out, I chose universities in other provinces for all my applications. After graduating from college, I stayed in Jason's city, fell in love with him, and got married. Now Jason is dead in my heart. Stella is almost dead too. Therefore, the only person I care about is my biological daughter whom I have never met. I will continue to secretly hoard supplies. The next afternoon, I got the results of the paternity test. Stella and I are not related by blood. My eyes were red with hatred, and I resisted the urge to tear up the test report and put the two reports in the safe as evidence. After calming down, I gave Oliver to transfer money and asked him to contact professionals to help me find my daughter. After Oliver replied, I sent another WeChat to Jason, I am going on a business trip for 2 days. During these 2 days, please spare some time to care for Stella. He replied immediately, which was unusual, okay. I guess he was staring at his phone and laughing. He can let Chloe live at home again and live a good life for their family of 3. I simply packed my luggage and took the high-speed rail back to my hometown. In my previous life, my hometown was the last to be occupied by zombies. The house my parents left me has a large cellar. I added some defense facilities and stored more water and food, so I can hide for a while. Moreover, the terrain of my hometown is easy to hide. If the house is occupied by zombies, I can also move. In a blink of an eye, the water pollution problem in Jiangqing has erupted for more than half a month. Some people have already revealed on the internet that zombies have appeared in a certain place, but the post will be deleted soon. I know that all the zombies found so far have been killed. But in 10 days, zombies will conquer every city. I have to go, but I haven't found my daughter yet. For 18 years, I gave all the love I should have given to Stella, and I felt guilty towards her. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it up to her. While Jason was at work and Stella was at school, I simply packed up the few remaining luggage and prepared to drive back to my hometown by myself. The high-speed rail is too dangerous now, there may be latent zombies in the crowd. Not long after driving, I received a WeChat message from Oliver, I found your daughter. Her name is Arya, and Jason fostered her at his distant relative's home. I saw a photo of my daughter. She was about the same height as Stella, but her hair was dry and yellow, and she was skinny. She was obviously at the right age for youth, but her eyes were dim, and she didn't have much life. At just one glance, I felt the suffocating heartache. This is my poor biological daughter. What did she do wrong? Her biological father disliked her, asked her to make room for Stella, and sent her to a family that favored girls over boys. Her biological mother didn't realize that she had been swapped and never looked for her. I decided to find her. It was on the way, so I adjusted the navigation and arrived at the village where my daughter lived that night. According to the information provided by Oliver, I found Zhu Daiyong's family. The paint chip door was open, and I just saw the silhouette of my daughter chopping wood. She was so thin, but she could swing the heavy axe and split the wood neatly. In an instant, I, who had been an adult for more than 20 years, collapsed. I wiped away my tears and walked to my daughter step by step with a heavy heart. Arya. I was not used to this name that Zhu Daiyong gave her casually, but I had to gain her trust first. My daughter put down the axe and looked at me curiously and vigilantly. I knelt on one knee, tears kept coming. I am a mother. I really am a mother. If you don't believe it, I will take you to do a paternity test. If you believe it, I will take you home. Mom? The daughter murmured, as if she was lost in memory. Suddenly, she opened her eyes wide and looked at me straight. Mom? Yes. I am a mother. I hugged her distressedly. Do you know who I am? I looked for it and was beaten. Her voice was muffled. Jason, this beast. Zhu Daiyong's family is also a beast. I wanted to set fire to Zhu Daiyong's broken house. But I was alone, and taking my daughter away safely was the most important thing. I asked my daughter, come with me, okay? My daughter took the axe, okay. I looked around and made sure that Zhu Daiyong's family didn't notice, and took my daughter away quietly. Before getting in the car, I asked her to put the axe in the trunk. Okay. She was obedient. I opened the door for her, and she looked nervous. Mom, I will get it dirty. It's okay, I said with great sadness, when we get home, Mom will buy you new clothes. She smiled shyly, thank you, Mom. After my daughter sat down, I fastened her seatbelt and closed the door. I looked up at the vast starry sky and calmed down my complicated and unspeakable emotions. After 2 seconds, I walked around the front of the car and opened the door. Just as I was about to sit in the driver's seat, a big hand grabbed my hair and pulled me out of the car. The other party skillfully took the car key with his other hand, slammed the door and locked the car. I was terrified and angry. Jason. Very smart, he dragged me to the dirt road and threw me hard onto the firewood pile. When did you find out? My lower back hit the protruding firewood, and I groaned in pain. I saw my daughter frantically hitting the car window. I have to be strong. I calmed down. Jason, let me go, I will help you and Chloe. He stepped on my abdomen with one foot, and as I screamed in pain, he said with a little pleasure, unfortunately, I only believe in dead people. He looked serious, as if killing me was an experiment he had to do. I struggled violently. I don't want to die. I don't want my daughter to lose her mother just after she found her mother. But Jason couldn't hear the cry in my heart. He bent down, and with the same strong hands, he strangled my neck tightly. Let go. Gradually, I couldn't breathe, and Jason continued to close his hands without changing his expression with a force that almost broke my neck. Cough cough. I coughed in pain. On the verge of death, I longed so much for the man who had slept with me for nearly 20 years to have a little mercy on me and spare my life. The increasing oppression made me understand, he would not. No matter what reason he had for temporarily leaving Chloe, I as his legal wife was just a disposable substitute in his eyes. He played with me unscrupulously, he replaced my biological daughter without telling me, making my daughter grow up hard. He watched me love Stella and made Stella hate me. He was my husband on the surface, but actually held Chloe in his palm. After the exchange of my daughter was exposed, he was afraid that I would retaliate against him and Chloe, and decided to kill her to silence her. I suspected that he and I had a blood feud. But no. It's just that he was particularly cruel to me. Finally I slowly closed my eyes, let go of my hands that were desperately pulling his wrists and stretched out my legs that were kicking wildly. Maybe I acted death very well. Maybe he overexerted himself for too long and needed a rest. He let go of my neck and patted my face with one hand. Dead? Not dead. I suddenly opened my eyes full of hatred. You are good at pretending. He rolled up his sleeves slowly, but unfortunately, you will die in my hands. I asked hoarsely, really? Of course. After saying that, he lowered his hands gracefully and was about to strangle my neck. And I finally gathered enough strength, grabbed a stone covered by firewood and smashed it hard on the back of his head. At the same time as the dull collision sounded, a drop of sticky dark red blood splashed on the corner of my mouth. I licked it. Pa, Jason finally lost his temper and slapped me with his backhand. You want to kill me? He jumped up from me, gently reached out to touch the short hair on the back of his head, and his fingertips were instantly stained with blood. As if stimulated, his eyes were bloodshot and he roared and asked me, this stone is so dirty. Do you want to lower my IQ? I tried to stand up and I just laughed when I heard his question. I just want to live. From a distance I saw my daughter's dark eyes worried about me. I quickly approached Jason and got the car keys. What are you doing? I raised the stone and still aimed it at his forehead. He quickly pushed me away and ran away, try to hit me again. Almost at the same time my daughter took an axe and walked towards him aggressively. If you hit Mom again, I will kill you. I stood next to my daughter and negotiated with Jason. Thanks to you, my daughter has been doing rough work since she was a child, and she is stronger than me. Do you really want to fight us to the death? Jason was silent. I asked my soul, don't you want Chloe and Stella? Jason jumped up instantly, you are not allowed to hurt them. I held my daughter's wrist and led her to swing the axe, intimidating Jason, then get out. He had a sinister expression. A disgusting woman like you deserves to be deceived into marriage by a man who doesn't love you. If you hadn't taken Chloe's place, why would I bother Stella to call you Mom? It's all your fault. Your daughter looks prematurely aged. It's your retribution. His crazy remarks, like a thief crying thief, made my chest rise and fall in anger. Fortunately, I still had reason, asked my daughter's consent, took the axe, and swung it fiercely at Jason. Are you going to get out? If you open your mouth again, I'll chop off your head. Anyway, the end of the world will come. I don't mind practicing with scumbags first. Perhaps frightened by the murderous intent in my eyes, or perhaps afraid that Chloe and Stella would be in danger, Jason finally retreated one after another. The way he looked at me seemed to declare that one day he would kill me perfectly. But I don't care. Before the end of the world comes, I have to give him a big gift. When Jason took 10 steps back, I stared at his hands and feet while taking my daughter back. When he took 20 steps back, I let my daughter get in the car first and then sat in the driver's seat. After I successfully started the car, I was really relieved. This place is close to Zhu Daiyong's home. If everyone in the village came to help Jason, it would be difficult for my daughter and I to escape. Fortunately, Jason is proud and conceited and wants to kill me personally. Before the car drove out of the dirt road, I saw Jason's car catching up in the rearview mirror. He wanted to hit my car and die together? Crazy man. He is willing to risk it. I have prepared so many supplies and just found my daughter. I will never take the risk of fighting him. I asked my daughter in the back seat, Arya, do you get carsick? She answered obediently, no, I don't get carsick. Mom, I like riding in the car. Okay. I stepped on the accelerator to speed up. Maybe Jason is a better driver, but I have been driving for 20 years and he didn't catch up with me. But I can't let him go back to my hometown with me. Just as I was observing the surroundings and trying to set a way for him to crash and get away, there was a fierce crash behind me. I saw a very satisfying scene in the rearview mirror. Jason's car was knocked over, rolled around and stopped in the field beside the road. The Jeep that hit him was not much better. Smoke came out of the front of the car and parts fell off the body. I silently thanked this kind person and continued to start the car. Suddenly, I saw the man who got out of the Jeep. It was Oliver. Could it be that Oliver was worried about me picking up my daughter alone and came to find me? Knowing that the kind person was Oliver who was sincere in helping me, I couldn't turn a blind eye. Jason happened to be unconscious in the car, so I turned around to pick up Oliver. After Oliver got in the car, I hurriedly observed him. Only his forehead was broken and his eyes were clear. You took too much risk. I put myself in his shoes and said after surviving the disaster, luckily you are fine. Oliver smiled with neat white teeth. Don't worry, Scarlett. I have planned it all. He greeted his daughter who was curiously looking at him. Are you Arya? I am Uncle Oliver. The daughter looked at me timidly and I nodded and she gently called him, Uncle Oliver. I suddenly said to Oliver, but my daughter is no longer Arya, her name is Grace. Stella was the name I thought of for my daughter but unfortunately it was taken by Chloe's daughter. This time I let my daughter take my surname because I hope she can enjoy the rest of her life. I turned around and asked my daughter, Sophia. Sophia, do you like this name? My daughter's eyes were bright. I like it. I was happy and sad. She must have suffered a lot in Zhu Daiyong's family so she was full of expectations for me, her biological mother whom she had never met. I sorted out my mood and drove again. When we were about to reach the highway I pulled over to the roadside and asked Oliver, are you going back? I want to go back to my hometown. After we get on the highway, we won't be on the same route. Oliver said straightforwardly, I can get off here. Thank you, Oliver. I had 1,000 words in my heart but I could only say this to him because of the situation. After getting off the car he was bathed in the hazy moonlight, a bit holy. Scarlett, I understand everything. After saying goodbye to Oliver I drove back to my hometown overnight. Early in the morning I bought breakfast and ate it with my daughter in the car. After my daughter had eaten her fill while my hometown was still safe I took my daughter to the hospital for a full physical examination. My daughter's physical condition was very poor and she needed to be nursed back to health. The doctor prescribed, take her to a follow-up checkup in 3 months, and I will prescribe medicine based on the situation. It is estimated that her health will be well in 3 years. After 3 years this hospital will definitely no longer exist. I sighed in my heart and said in a normal tone, Doctor, I will go abroad to work and earn money in a while. I am worried about my daughter coming here alone. Can you prescribe enough medicine for 3 years at one time? After the doctor tried to persuade me and failed he looked at my daughter and sighed and finally agreed to my request. After leaving the hospital I went to different pharmacies to buy regular cold medicine, allergy medicine, etc. My supplies were for survival before but now my daughter needs to take care of her body so I need to buy some short-term supplements for her, milk, fruit, beef, etc. I drove home until the trunk was full of things I bought and the seats next to my daughter in the passenger seat and the back seat were filled. After arriving home I locked the main door, the courtyard door, and the door of the room, put most of the things in the cellar, and put meat, fruits, and vegetables in the refrigerator. My daughter sat on the sofa and watched me busy in and out. I was curious, Zonyun, don't you think it's strange? She replied, no. In the past, my family also went to the market once a month to buy meat and fruit. But my mother bought more. Hearing this my heart was broken. I sat next to her and stroked her dry hair. Do they never give you meat to eat? Yeah. Her voice was muffled. Sophia, from now on, you will be called Grace. I took out a pen and paper and wrote her name. Forget the past and start a new life with your mother, okay? My daughter also wrote her name stroke by stroke. After a long time she looked up, her eyes moistened, and said firmly, okay. In the next few days I ventured to buy fresh ingredients every day and replenish water and food with no problem with the production date. My daughter is still recovering and supplies cannot be lacking. 2 days before I go out again I called Stella very kindly. Didn't you run away, you fake? Why are you still looking for me? She said impatiently. I calmly said, Stella, ask yourself, how do I treat you? I manage your studies because I hope you have more choices. And I am urging you, not forcing you. I try my best to satisfy you in terms of food and entertainment. I don't let you eat visceral food because you are prone to get sick. Last time you and your mother happily ate tripe, 1,000-layer tripe, and pig intestines, did you have a stomachache all night? Your mother overindulges you because she didn't raise you and she feels guilty. No, she wants to use your love to hurt me and prove to Jason that she is unique and irreplaceable. Impossible. Mom is definitely not such a person. Stella subconsciously refuted me. I was calm and calm. I'm not here these days. You should live the life you dream of every day. Do you feel that she still loves you and cares about you as before? In front of Jason, don't you think she will compete with you for favor? Stella was silent. Suddenly, she asked, how do you know what I ate at Hadileo that day? Great. You pretended to be busy but secretly followed us? Have you long suspected that Dad loves Mom the most? Ha ha ha, I know you told me this to deliberately provoke the relationship between me and Mom. You want to take revenge on us? In the previous life, when Jason took Chloe to the safe zone as a family member and left Stella and me to face the hordes of zombies, I gave up on Jason. I cried, and finally gave up on Jason. After Rebirth, I only hate him. After taking revenge on Jason this time, I won't have time to hate him. I have to work hard to survive so that I can protect my daughter and watch her grow up. Stella, you are an adult. You should have a feeling who is really good to you, me or Chloe. Stella insisted, of course my mother who gave birth to me with great difficulty treats me better. I am not surprised by her stubbornness. After all, Chloe and Jason have been PUAing her for years and my awakening is just for use. I think I have laid enough groundwork, so I will express the ultimate purpose. Stella, I believe you will not doubt what has happened recently. The zombie virus is really spreading. Jason has a place in the safe zone, but he can only bring one family member. Stella, who do you think Jason will choose? Who do you hope Jason will choose? Stella said I for a long time but couldn't tell her true thoughts. It seems that she has deep feelings for Chloe. I smiled slightly. I am looking forward to who of you will appear in the safe zone. You are so vicious. She questioned me, how do you know this news? Did you take advantage of your father's cheating to cause your father to lose a family member's place? Yes, it's you. You took away my and my mother's places so that you and your daughter can go to the safe zone. I hate you. She really likes to speculate about me with the most malicious intentions, but this time she guessed most of it right. I hung up the phone when I was tired of her madness. After raising Stella for 18 years, I know her, she is selfish at heart. If she and Chloe can only live, she will suffer and struggle and finally choose herself. When people are panicking, I gave her such a heavy news, she will definitely do something. The once harmonious family of 3 will definitely fight for the chance of survival. That's enough. That night, while the area around the house was still stable, I cooked a big meal and celebrated with my daughter that we were reborn together. 2 days later, some zombies stepped on the traps I set in advance and some zombies tried to break through the barbed wire fence I surrounded the wall. They used to be my neighbors. Although I left home a long time ago, I still sighed when I saw these living people turned into unconscious monsters. In the evening, I went to the yard to clear the zombies. My daughter came out with me and chopped the zombie in half from head to tail with an axe. During this period of time, I took care of her body, her face was a little rosy, and her strength was stronger. Although I hope she will be safe and happy for the rest of her life, our living environment will only get worse and worse. I should be happy that she can adapt to a life of chopping zombie heads like watermelons. 7 more days and nights passed. Late at night, a zombie jumped over my traps and broke through the window, and its head got stuck in the window bars, howling all the time. Even though I have experienced it once, the end of the world has made me nervous. Every night, I dare not sleep deeply. The movement of the zombies woke me up, and when I followed the sound source, the zombie was about to smash the window bars. I picked up the machete on the coffee table and shot it in the head. The stench was everywhere, and I immediately cleaned up the scene, in the dim moonlight. I simply reinforced the trap. For the rest, I could only wait until dawn. I was afraid that there would be more zombies attacking, so I sat by my daughter's bed with a knife. If there were any zombies, I would kill them one by one. Late at night, while my daughter was sleeping, I suddenly felt lonely. I still missed the colorful, free and convenient life in the prosperous times. I took out my phone with half the battery left and sent a message to Oliver, "Are you still alive?" Of course, the message failed to send. But my mood improved, I put away my phone and continued to follow. My daughter woke up and saw me, and instinctively showed a satisfied and happy smile. Mom, good morning. Good morning. But she quickly asked, Mom, did you stay up late? Did zombies come in last night? Maybe my fatigue was too obvious. I could only tell the truth. She took the initiative to say, Mom, let's live in the cellar. It's an extra layer of protection. We have killed so many zombies around here, but they still keep coming in. Let's hide first. Anyway, the food in the cellar is enough for us to sustain for half a year. I was filled with mixed feelings. Zonyun, if you can't see the sun for a long time, will you be sad? She hugged me. As long as I'm with my mother, I won't be sad. Mom, when I was 13, I heard them say that you were deceived by them. I wanted to find you. During that time, I tried to act good and finally found a chance to run away. I saw you. I really saw you. But my father found me first, and he threw me back to help them monitor me. I didn't dare to run away again. I thought I was dead at that time, but you came to find me, and I survived. Although now, I may become a zombie at any time, every second I am alive and with my mother is a gift from fate. My eyes were red. Sophia, remember, you only have your mother. My daughter and I moved to the cellar. My concept of time began to blur and I relied on a mechanical watch to barely maintain the routine of daytime activities and nighttime sleep. I don't know how long it took Jason to find my hometown. It seems that the safe zone has fallen. Bang, 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 he kept banging on the cellar door, while yelling, Scarlet. I know you're alive. Who told you in advance that you set so many traps outside? Did you go to the leader to report my extramarital affair and get the news? It was you who told Stella that I could only bring one family member, right? Scarlet, do you know? It was because of you that Stella poisoned Chloe, and in order to avenge Chloe I stabbed Stella to death with my own hands. It's all your fault. Me, he came all the way here in addition to destroying my traps and shouting to attract zombies. He finally brought good news. I said coldly, you can't break it open. You can continue to make trouble, I'll stand here and wait for you to become a zombie. Open the door for me, you bastard. He hit it harder. But this is my last layer of defense, how could he break it so easily? I don't know how long it took. I heard a gunshot followed by the sound of a heavy object falling to the ground. After waiting for a few minutes Jason still didn't curse. Is he really dead? Who shot him? Or is he acting to trick me out? I don't plan to open the door. Anyway, my daughter and I have long been accustomed to living in the dark or dim candlelight. Just as I was about to go back I heard a familiar voice. Scarlet, is that you? I was a little bit unbelievable and didn't respond immediately. Oliver was still saying, Scarlet, I'm here to save you. I did as you said, got the paternity test certificate between you and Stella, and went to Jason's company to report him for betraying his marriage. Jason lost the opportunity to go to the safe zone. My family is in the safe zone. Because of your reminder I made plans in advance and I am doing well in the safe zone. Come with me, okay? Life in the new home is closer to the past. Because he didn't betray me I believed him. After getting my daughter's consent I opened the door and saw Oliver's familiar face. Just as I was about to go out I saw zombies rushing into the yard. I quickly grabbed Oliver's hand, dragged him into the cellar, slammed the door and locked it. Time was running out. I urged, help. Oh, okay. We locked the door and my daughter pushed the barrier over. 3 hours later we survived another zombie crisis. I think as long as I am with my daughter I can survive countless more times.